Geeking out loud while you sneak around. See, I'm the one they speaking about. This key blast to throw you in the air and spin your feet around. We geeking out loud. I put the cartridge in the system and I'm hitting everybody in existence. Came to get it all. You see the writing on the wall. If I'm Naruto in the water, I'm Sasuke before the fall. Luffy after the hockey. I'm Zoro drinking the sake. Try to fight me, I get Brocky like we Spiros and Brawley. You gon' need the HMs, the TM. I said I'm trying to hit. She said ditto in the DMs. You reach in, I'm preaching. Attack of the Titans. I went colossal on the weekend. Colossus with the X-Men. I'm Wolverine, I'm a weapon. I'm hotter than everybody. I dedicated the body. You hardly outside. We geeking, you never started.
What's up, y'all? This is Dr. Geekly from Geeking Out Loud Podcast.
And I'm Nixia.
And we got a special guest with us today. I'm going to let him introduce himself a little bit, and then we'll get the show on the road.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's me, Mark from Blerdography. I am a cosplay photographer, graphic designer, and content creator in the Atlanta area, and I am currently working on my first documentary project. So, thank you for finally having me on. I know we've always kind of hit or miss a little bit, but you know how night shift goes.
Yeah, I know all about night shift, man. It kind of wears you down, not gonna lie. But no, tell us a little bit about your podcast a little bit.
Okay, so my podcast is called Blerdcast. It's a subsect of Blerdography. On Blerdcast, I wasn't expecting to bring that up. On Blerdcast, I like to talk about like different geeky things. I get to interview different guests from different backgrounds. Do a lot of con coverage, if that makes sense. And more importantly, I love like to interview like just different people from the nerd space, whether they create comics or they are content creator like you guys, or you know, they're just a fan of a certain craft. So, you know, check me out, Blerdcast. We're available everywhere you listen to podcasts and also available on YouTube.
And what about a little bit about your Black Nerd documentary? I know you talked about that a little bit.
Okay, yeah. So I am in not the beginning stages. This has kind of been like a project that's been in the back of my mind for like 10 years, but I'm finally actively working on it now. The Black and Nerdy documentary series. It is about exploring what it's like to be Black and grow up Black and exist as a Black person or a person of color in the nerd space, such as at conventions, or just even growing up in life. I've broken the series down to many episodes, so each episode will cover a different topic that affects nerd culture, from growing up Black and nerdy to, you know, blurred love and just different conventions, and even different subsects of groups of like just cultures. Kind of having a lot of fun shooting it. Definitely a learning curve, you know, learning how to do a documentary and things like that. So I'm having fun, but it's like a lot of hard work. It's a hard work.
Oh, I bet. Like, I really like that. Not many people, like, usually nowadays talk about with struggles, because it is sometimes a struggle to be a Black nerd.
Yeah, it is a struggle.
Yeah, and like you're shining a light on what it's like, that life, the eyes, the point of view on being Black and nerdy.
Thank you. You're right. It is a struggle just being a person of color in the nerd space. You know, whether you're a cosplayer, someone has always told you, like, even though you look amazing in your cosplay, this character isn't Black, this character isn't brown. And you know, honestly, like I've heard that as a cosplay photographer a lot. Like people have come up to my clients during photo shoots, during conventions and things like that. I'm like, oh, your cosplay is nice, but you know, Hanada isn't Black, and I'm like, you know, who cares? It's cosplay. It's for everybody. Like, you know, Hanada's not white either, but yet here you are.
But here's the thing, man. It's like I've seen different things and people make things work. Like I've seen a white killer bee, and I'm like, I never thought I'd seen that before. And like, yeah, it's like you do you, you know?
Yeah. And that's kind of one of the things I like about cosplay and just what cosplayers have done in general. You can take a character, a well-known IP, and make it fit yourself, make it fit who you are as a character. I'm going to use this as an example, but like Spider-Man, for example, Spider-Man is kind of like the everyman's hero. Everyone can see themselves as Spider-Man. And now with the explosion of Spider-Man and Into the Spider-Verse and its sequel, you go to a convention to see everyone in Spider-Man cosplay. They are making Spider-Man cosplay their own, regardless of their body type or their background, ethnicity. People love making this particular cosplay, like Spider-Man, their own, and I love seeing the creativity out there.
Yeah, it's like,
It's
I
very
mean,
beautiful.
you're like very beautiful.
Right.
No,
It is.
I usually, I'm not gonna lie. Back in the day, I used to feel self conscious about it because I used to be only mass superheroes. But now I'm going like recently. I'm about to go to an anime convention and I'm gonna be Black Itachi. So,
Okay.
so yeah, that's how it goes. And it's like you just got to build confidence up, you know.
It's I do agree. Especially like being a cosplayer. And like, okay, let me explain a little background. So again, I do a lot of cosplay photography, but I someone who wants to cosplay, and like you, I kind of worry about the attention effect that you get while in cosplay. If you've seen anybody in cosplay, they get stopped by a lot of people, and that's kind of one of the things that's kind of taking me aback because I'm a behind the cameras person. So if I cosplay, I'm like, I don't know if I want that attention, but and I did a little kind of sneak peek about my documentary. I released a question. The question was, as a cosplayer, do you like attention? And every person I asked that question was like, yes. Once they got over it, they love the attention, getting stopped, having to take pictures, people just telling them how much they love their cosplay or the character that they're cosplaying as. So you got to build up to that. I get that.
Yeah, but yeah, we I wanted everyone to know about that, like really, really wild, badass project you're doing about black nerds. I want them to know a little bit about your podcast, and but yeah, because I think it's badass, you know.
Thank you, thank you. Here's the weird thing, like I'm just shooting stuff that I want to like watch myself. Like I want to know more about how other black nerds got over the fear of being nerdy in a black space, like at home. Like, for the longest time, it wasn't okay for black nerds to even exist at home. I cannot tell you, like during high school or really middle school and high school. College is when it started to be normalized a little bit, but how many times growing up I hear black people don't do this, black people don't do that. Then black people started watching Dragon Ball Z and like the floodgates opened up. So
Always
Facts.
starts with Dragon Ball Z.
it does. Like I swear to God, every black nerd story, the acceptance started with Dragon Ball.
It started with Goku whooping some ass.
Exactly, it does. Either that or like Sailor Moon or like the '90s anime boom into the early
Facts.
2000s stuff.
Pokemon.
All of those were on
Yeah,
Tsunami
Pokemon.
when
There
it
you
was on in the
go. Definitely
afternoon.
video games has helped. I'm sorry, I spoke over you.
Oh, I said like the ones you mentioned, like DBZ and Sailor Moon. They were on Tsunami when it was on in the afternoons.
Right.
Yeah, I remember getting out of school and then it's on TV and it was awesome.
Yeah. And like, so I grew up with my dad during that time, and literally every day, everybody 5 o'clock Monday through Friday, from the youngest being me at 12 or 13 to the oldest being like 60 some years old. Everybody in my house, my dad, my cousins, my uncles, we all came downstairs, watched Dragon Ball Z together at 5 o'clock. And just like it was just what we did. That was our soap opera. That was our in-game moment, if you will, where everybody just got together, and it didn't matter how old we were or what we did for a living. All that mattered was Goku is whooping Cell's ass, and that shit was fire. That's
Yeah,
all that mattered.
yeah, but he don't get the Father of the Year award though.
Yeah, well, yeah,
He
obviously.
sent his son to death, basically.
Yeah, yeah. We can talk about Goku's fatherhood and his parental
Yeah,
skills. But I've always been Team Vegeta, Father of the Year.
yeah. But we're here to talk about, before we get more sidetracked, we're here to talk about the matter of the four elements, Avatar, Last Airbender. So, and what it means to people. the new content coming out, and a Netflix show, which I was really concerned about at first because you know how live action animes that curse be where you're like, don't live action this anime because we seen how Dragon Ball Evolution was. So
We don't talk about that.
I don't even know what we're talking about. But yeah, Dragon Ball Evolution was very scary. But they did One Piece good. I'll admit that they did One Piece good, decent. But now, Mark, what did you think about the Netflix adaptation?
Excuse me, sorry. So I'm a huge fan of the Avatar: The Last Bender series, the animated series. I'm a huge fan of the novels, the graphic novels, the comics, even the Legend of Korra, which we'll talk about eventually.
Yeah.
So when Netflix said that it was coming out with another live action, like you said, of course I was worried because Netflix has been kind of hit or miss with that. Depends on what you look at it.
Yeah.
I did see the One Piece live action. I don't know enough about One Piece to know if that was good or not, but people seem to be happy with it. The Yu Yu Hakusho live action was actually pretty interesting and a really good take. I just wish it had a few more episodes. The Cowboy Bebop thing, for example, that was they dishonored Cowboy Bebop. They dishonored Cowboy Bebop. So yeah, I was worried about going into this and seeing what Netflix would do with the live action Avatar, because we've had a live action Avatar that we shall also not talk about, and it doesn't exist. So I was really worried, but after the official trailer was released, and you see the first episode, I was like, okay, this does give me hope. It's not perfect, but this does give me hope. This was actually so much better than I thought it would be. So overall, I did enjoy the Avatar Netflix series, and I can't wait to pick it apart because it has some issues, it has some good stuff, it has some bad stuff, but it definitely got some issues, and I want to talk about it.
Yeah. What makes Neil? What did you think about it?
I loved it. I enjoyed like how do I put it? I love the way they went about. Oh my gosh! Sorry, give me a second. I kind of spoke right before this. Um, my apologies. I'm sorry. So I like how they combine different elements from all three seasons in the one season in a way to tell a more, how should I say? Um, I can't think of the word.
Cohesive story.
Yes, there we go. Yes, yes, yes. Like we met Jet way earlier than we should have, but I like the way it went into the story. Like it just seemed to fit.
We met Jet, then we met Kyoshi more faster than I thought we would.
Yes. Oh my gosh. In the beginning credits. Beautiful.
And then the costumes, we can't forget them. They did them really good.
Well, yeah. All the costumes were amazing.
Facts.
Then the special effects.
Put a pin in that. Put a pin in the special effects.
Oh, put a pin in the special effects.
Yeah, put a pin in the special effects.
You gotta think about it though, man. It's a lot better, but a lot of things are better than the movie was.
Oh yeah, I mean absolutely, but that's only because they tried.
Yeah, they're like the first one was like, hey, it's a money grab.
Yeah, exactly. It felt like a money grab. It felt like the twist was it wasn't good. So that's the M. Night Shyamalan twist for that movie. It just wasn't good. And just poorly done. Like, why would you not want to get input from the creators and when you're making a $1 million movie from Nickelodeon? Come on, that's crazy.
I mean, and then from what I remember, didn't the creators actually leave the Netflix project?
Yeah, they did for creative differences, but I also think that more or less had to do with a couple of weeks later we got Avatar Studios, so of course you would leave. That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean it makes sense. I was like, I was kind of scared when I first read that article. I'm like, oh god, it's already begun. But then it actually did decent. I mean, I think the creators even liked it.
Yeah. But to be fair, like a lot of stuff was in place, and from what it sounded like on paper, the creators only left because of like slight creative differences, which I would kind of agree with because they have made some differences or some changes to
Yeah.
like how season one was, for example, with the things that they added and took out. Um, I would understand why the creators were leaving those differences, like Sokka not being a sexist, kind of misogynist character at the beginning. They didn't want to incorporate that at all because of, we're in 2024 and it's not okay to do that. But I feel like that's important to Sokka's character because he learns from being that and becomes a better person. And not having that in his character does change him a lot. Like how in season two, there's rumored that Toph is going to be blind. I mean, she's not going to be blind. That needs to be a part of her
Oh
character. Like,
God.
Whoa, who said that?
I
Why?
can't remember where I heard it, but like a lot of people were talking about it once after season one aired and season two and three got greenlit. They were saying that they're going to make Toph not blind because they don't want to, hurt the disabled community or not represent them well. I'm like, but that's a part of her character. It's so integral to her character that she is blind. You changed the show by not making her blind.
You change the show, yeah, but I feel like if I was disabled, I'm not gonna lie, and I knew a girl could see with her feet, that'd be like Daredevil Marvel style. It'd be like that's badass.
Exactly. At least I would think that.
Yeah.
Facts.
And it's like she can see with her feet. She can whoop your ass without even looking at you. That's how I
Exactly.
thought.
Exactly. And her ability is so much better than Daredevil's ability of how he sees and things like that. Like, come on, seismic
Exactly.
sense is like it's so cool. And like you gotta like oh my god. Again, without Toph being blind, we don't get seismic sense, we don't get metal bending. You gotta have that. It's so integral to telling the story.
Now,
Sorry for
real
ranting.
talk though. Real talk. How did you feel about Uncle Iroh in this?
Oh, okay. So I love the actor that plays Uncle Iroh because he's the guy that's from Kim's Convenience. I don't know if any of you guys have seen that. He's very funny in his own right. He is a very talented actor. But his portrayal of Uncle Iroh was kind of like a caricature, I guess, of like say you heard about this franchise
Yeah.
and there's this character that you fit the role perfectly for, and you're not familiar with this franchise and you just Google what this character is supposed to be, that's kind of how it felt like he portrayed it. It wasn't bad. And I
Uh,
understand, writing and things like that. Actors go off what the writers write in the script. It just, a lot of his lines, a lot of his delivery didn't sound or feel like Uncle Iroh's delivery.
Serving tea and stuff.
Right.
Gave that uncle advice.
Right. And it's just like certain lines just kind of felt weird. Like, and again, it's not him. He acted. He's one of the best parts of this
Yeah.
series when it comes to like the actors, especially like when him and Zuko have those not intimate, but those emotional scenes together.
Yeah.
I love those scenes. Zuko and Iroh moments in the Netflix version are like the best moments of the whole series. But I
Agreed.
felt like I don't want to say phoned in. It just felt like a different kind of take of how to do Uncle Iroh.
Yeah. So Mix, how do you who's your favorite part of the series?
Who is my favorite part of the series?
Yeah, like who was your favorite person in the series? Like favorite people, favorite parts in the Netflix?
Everybody. No I'm kidding.
Hmm.
I really like oof, the little girl that plays Azula. Oh my gosh, she is so ruthless. Like she definitely suits that role. I don't know what it is about her, but yes. I know some people are mad about her face being a little chubbier. Nope, her friend's face being a little chubbier, but they all have the whole vibe of her green. Like I don't know, people are weird.
I mean, yeah, I'll admit, she did do good, being cold hearted. I'll admit, uh, I mean, like Mark said, the people can be mad and like nitpick at things, but it's how you portray it. So
Yeah, I agree. It's really how you portray it and just kind of how this because again like we're gonna talk about some of the other actors and actresses.
yeah,
There's somebody in there who just kind of like, oh my god, why are you even in this? But like for the most part, the whole series was just a different take of what we are used to with animation. And I can accept that. I can understand that this is its own separate universe. It's loosely based off of what we grew up with and what we like. Um, so it has to have time to develop and do its own thing. So I do understand that. However, some of the changes that they made for book one don't necessarily make sense. Like for example, so Azula. Hold on. We're talking about Azula. Um, I felt like you could have saved Azula for season two. I understand you brought her in to season one to kind of build that dynamic of the Fire Lord and his family,
Yeah.
but I still feel like it was a bit unnecessary to have her in season one.
Yeah. But like Mick said, we got Jen in it too. So, like, wasn't it? How far were we in the Avatar the animated series before we seen Jet?
It was like the first 6 or 7 episodes when Jet's introduced into that village in the Earth Kingdom, and he's like trying to destroy it because of the firebenders. So he is in season one of the series or book one of the series, and then comes back in book two where he has his most memorable moments. So Jet's in season one.
I liked. I'll be honest. My favorite part, one of them was King Boomy.
Yeah, and that goes back to the whole Uncle Iroh thing. Like it was a different take, but it was still like I get it. That's Boomy. I understand.
Facts.
I don't understand why they had to show the little Indian kid 100 years ago to make that connection. We knew it was King Boomy as soon as he showed up on screen.
Here's
I
a
felt like
random
that was
Indian
just
kid. Here's a random Indian kid. You can think you can theorize who this is. We know what you're trying to do.
right. So
But no,
like that whole little cutaway was like completely unnecessary. They could have saved that money and that budget for having that kid for something completely different. But whatever, I get what they were trying to do because that's what the show did.
I
There was
feel
like, oh,
like
the show did this, so let's characterize this moment and I won't say bastardize it, but just change it enough to fit our narrative. And they did a lot of that.
yeah. I feel like hey, we got the cabbage guy, didn't we though?
Yeah, we did. And
I
how they
liked him.
tried to do it was interesting.
What did you say, Mix?
I loved it.
I
Like,
mean, we gotta have the cabbage guy though. I mean, that's a part of Avatar's meme history.
facts.
But no, King Boomy though, he was a beast. Like he's always been a beast in his own right. Like it's that crazy psycho, but he's always fun loving, excitement, adrenaline rush. But here it seems like he was more traumatized, you know?
Yeah. To that, I gotta say, one thing I noticed about book one of the Netflix series is
Yeah.
they're really kind of phoning in that fog of war effect. In the animated series, it was a little bit more lighthearted. They was traveling around and just kind of lazily doing things.
Yeah.
In this one, they're really connecting and making the point that they've been at war for 100 years, and the people in this world are a little more battle ready and more. What's the word? More hard-hearted than say the animated series was, where it was a little lighthearted and they touched on the fog of war stuff, but really, I hope you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I
I
get what you're
don't quite have the words.
Yeah, I get you.
I think though, what was it called? Oh, y'all remember Kyoshi when she gave Aang PTSD in the Netflix live action? She basically said, "This is what we've been seeing all the time." Basically, scarring Aang when he first got out the ice.
Right.
She touched him to make him see visions, and all you see is him blood curdling, screaming for a split second. I'm like, good God, she's mentally scarring a child.
I mean, you got to learn today, though.
I mean, yeah. Damn.
Here's the thing, and I've always said this: Sokka might not have bending, but he knows how to talk to women. Because look how many girlfriends Sokka pulled since he's been in the series. He got Ty Lee basically, which he never got with her, but he got Suki. He had a girl who literally turned into the moon.
Yeah.
Almost.
but that's rough, buddy. I mean, that's
Yeah, no, you took the line. I was gonna say it.
that's rough. I mean, that's one of Zuko's best lines in the whole series. You can't tell me, like, man, he's like talking about how him and his girlfriend Zuko's is, and all of a sudden Sokka's like, yeah, my girlfriend turned to the moon. I don't want to hear shit about it.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite Zuko lines too.
I have it on my gas tank. I have a sticker saying that's rough, buddy.
That's great.
Like literally, it's like, but yeah, no, Zuko. I think they did a good actor for the Netflix show, though.
Yeah, the Zuko acting is great. He has some hit or miss moments, but like when he's emoting and he's really in Zuko character, I love it.
Yeah, and they did good with Aang too.
No comment on him. No comment on him.
Why?
I just
Be honest. This is an open podcast.
okay. All right. So I get this is a live action show. I get you can't 100% translate a cartoon to a live action series, and I understand. I understand all that stuff.
Yeah.
In the show, in season 1, Aang was this really fun, lighthearted, let's just have fun kind of character. I know what it is. I know what the issue is. Aang had a lot of moments where he just turned to the camera and told you how he felt instead of acting in the Netflix version.
Yeah.
And it just kind of fell flat. It definitely fell flat on me. Because I'm like, where's the fun lightheartedness? Like we had that one scene where he had the scooter ball and he hit the statue and they was recreating it from the intro of the anime. But that was like the most lighthearted kid fun moment we had with Aang. Once he got out of the iceberg. Like once he got out of the iceberg, it was just like this weird alien dropped off in the future. And go. You're the Avatar, kid. Go. That's how it felt.
No, like I remember the first time we seen Aang in the Avatar anime series. He straight up said, "You want to help me catch some penguin seals?"
Right.
He literally just said, "Katara, wow, he said, wow, you're very pretty, lady. You know, play with me."
That was
like,
so adorable.
Yeah, he's like, and then he said, "What?" He said, "Yeah, let's catch some penguin seals over there. Let's go right now." And he starts running towards them. But no, Sokka, I get what you're saying. Like, it's like he read lines, looked at the camera. But I like Sokka a little bit only because he got sarcasm great for Sokka.
Yeah, they gave him the sarcasm, but even with that, like they gave him the jokes and they gave him all the remember this lines from the animated series, but some of those were like hit or miss, like when Appa first came up and he was like, "Oh, you're not gonna get me to fly on that thing," and then the next scene he's on it and he's just screaming. I'm like, okay, I guess that's kind of funny. But then they did the Pips of Papalopoulos thing, and I was like, okay, that one was a good one. That was a good one. It wasn't his line in the original show, but I'm glad he got it here.
Yeah, that was.
Oh, I know. They got the animals and CGI and everything down pat. Like I can omit that.
No, they did not.
Oh, they didn't. They did not. My bad.
Let's talk about.
Like?
Okay, yeah, let's talk about that. So, earth, fire, water, and air. These are the elements that make up the avatar. But some of these elements are easier to CGI than others. So, did you watch like the first 5 minutes and that dark scene? It was they were in the Fire Nation and the Earth Kingdom spy. And they was doing all the earth bending and fire bending there. Yeah. That was the best earth bending looked in the entire series.
Damn.
oh, she's like, I like it.
Damn. I guess it'll get better when Toph is here. I don't know.
It's gonna have to, because like, all right, go to that like the King Boomy Aang fight where like they're in the earth, his dungeon and thing. They did a combination of practical effects with like having foam brick rocks and things like that and CGI, and it didn't really fit the environment because like there's a scene where King Boomy's earthbending rocks and it looks like they just slid foam like painted rocks away. because you can see him jiggling in the shot, and I'm like, okay, I know movie magic, and that really took me out of it. But then there were times where everything looked really cool, but no, none of the bending elements looked really good. Water was definitely the weakest as far as the CGI is concerned. Because I'm like, it doesn't fit. Like water is supposed to be this big, powerful element, but like they're just splashing each other with like water. It just looks like they're splashing each other with water.
It's like you take a glass of water and throw it in someone's face.
Exactly. Like that scene where Katara's like practicing and she does the water whip at the tree. I'm like, no, that's not water bending. That's someone threw a goddamn bucket of water at the tree. And
How
like
about
how
when?
it
How about when
no,
they
go
were
ahead.
at the north? How about when they were at the North Water Temple or the Water Tribe? Sorry, and right before the Firebenders came, when Katara tried to fight the leader guy so that women could protect the city.
Yeah.
What about
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about that scene because in the show, that's the pivotal moment. It's the pivotal moment for Katara and her character anyway. 'Cause, that whole "you're not gonna knock me down," and women have the right to defend their hometown, and if you got a population of magic users who can bend water, why would you let half of them not fight because of their gender? That doesn't make sense. I agree with that. And they did their best to recreate a lot of the scenes of that fight between Paku and Katara. The one thing that I was like, no, this looks so dumb was when she did the ice this thing, and it just looked like a big styrofoam weird cutout that was sliding across his face. I was like, okay, no.
no, we don't do that here.
Yeah. And then like the ice bending just looked like earth bending, but like with white styrofoam bricks.
Damn, you had a lot of opinions on Netflix.
I'm not done. Let's talk about air and fire. Why does every time someone use air bending, it looks like they're just making hot air or like farting airwaves? That's just like I get air bending would be really hard to convey. Because even in the show, they just use it the same way. Like in the show, air bending and water bending kind of like look the same when you look at it, other than just how they color it.
Yeah.
But in every time someone did air bending, it looked like they just was part bending or something. I don't know. It just looked weird. Like there's a disturbance in the force, and look at this wiggly woos and woo wind.
Not wiggly woos.
Yes, wiggly woos. That's what airbending. Like in that opening scene where you go to the air temple and Aang is on the pillar and he flies. I swear to God, he just farted and like wee, and then wee. That goddamn airbending technique move he does every time to start a fight, where he does the backflip over something. I'm tired of that. I got tired of that.
Man, I don't know how I felt at first when I first heard that what's it called? Aang didn't use a glider. Because like at first Aang wasn't using a glider, he was just floating.
Right.
And it's like, bro, I know Aang was an advanced airbender, but he didn't know how to fly.
Right.
But no, I liked how they also got a nickname, by the way, just randomness. They had a nickname for the actor for Zuko's dad. What was his name? Firelord Ozai. Yeah, they had a name for him. His name was Zaddy.
Accurate.
Yeah, he said you can call me in a little reel for Netflix. Like they call me a bunch of things. Firelord. They call me Daddy. They call me Zaddy. And then all of a sudden, Uncle Iroh's actor just came out and said Poppy.
Yeah, I heard that too. That's actually kind of funny. It's really funny.
But no, there was some good moments though. Like, and but what did you think for real about the fire bending? You talked.
Oh yeah. I was waiting for you to let me finish that. The issue that I have with the bending in the CGI is you have the actors performing these moves, and then they're later on adding in the effects to make it look like that these moves are doing something. I don't know what it is. And firebending was the element that was prominent the most and probably the most easiest to do practically, or CGI wise. But it looked like they was just punching through like any firebending that they was doing. They was always punching through it, and not like they was punching and then making fire, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It's
And I get it's like a lot of the things that they were doing, like it don't make sense with how physics of fire works. You know, if that makes sense.
yeah, I mean, but then again, most of the things we see in Avatar really ain't realistic. I mean, they're bending elements.
No, I mean I get that, but like you can
Make
this
it a
is
little
just the
more real.
problem of trying to convey like what this show is from an animation
Yeah,
format to a live action format. The
yeah.
same moves and things that they do in a cartoon won't translate well in the live action, because like in the animation it's like they do the moves in conjunction with the bending, but in the live action it's like they just do the moves and the bending is just there to look cool.
Man, yeah, because in the animated, they did badass. Like they added like forms of combat with the bending, like jujitsu,
Right,
like more moves, like taekwondo. Like they did different
Yep.
moves. And that's
Yep.
what was badass about it.
right. Because like, all right, I'll give an example. So during the King Boomy fight with Aang, where Aang has to airbend the big rocks up in the air. Um, in the show, he did moves to generate air to the power to lift up those rocks. In the live action show, it just looks like he just used the force to hold up the other rock. Or like when he was in jail and he took the officer's keys, it looked
Yeah,
like he just used the force instead of airbending to do that. So that it didn't look right. That's all I'm
yeah, I
saying.
get that. I get that. That what it did look like force though, if you really think about it, because air generates. He just whoosh.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm like, well, okay, so think about this logically. If an airbender did do that, it will have to take a large amount of air to take metal keys off of a key ring and float towards you. Even if you like create a tornado, what I'm saying is there's going to be enough like airflow where the officer's going to notice that the airbender that's locked up is airbending. He just used the force and used the force.
Yeah,
That's it.
he's a Padawan in training.
There you go. There you go. So I'm like, I don't. Is this like Avatar? Is this like Avatar and Star Wars? I don't understand.
Yeah, it's they did like I have more hopes for the animated shows coming out for and movies coming out for Avatar, you know? Because I
Uh-huh.
mean Avatar Studios is what's creating all that, you know?
Right.
Like we'll talk about, for instance, Zuko movie, yeah, solo movie. I hope they straight up make it where he looks for his mom in that storyline. Because look, I'm not gonna lie, it pissed me off so bad in Legend of Korra because in the very first like 2 episodes, when we see Katara, one of spoiler, Aang's kids or no grandkids, yeah. She looks at Katara and says, "Can you tell me about what happened to Zuko's mother? It's a beautiful story." And then one of the other Aang grandkids just ruined the whole moment because he just ruined it, and we never got to hear about that. But it was in the comic book though.
Yeah, it wasn't, and I think that's why they did that because that comic, The Search, came out before the season 1 of Legend of Korra, so they
Yeah,
were doing that to troll the fans. And actually, kind of one of my favorite parts of Korra is them trolling the fans about that particular storyline. Because I'm like, I read the comics, so I know what happened.
yeah,
But yeah, I want to see that animated because that was such a good story.
yeah. Like, but yeah, it's very. I mean, you got to really think about it. Avatar was a kid show, but it got dark in the spirit world sometimes.
Well, overall, the theme of the show was dark because, again, they were trying to convey the whole fog of war from a child's point of view, and they could only do but so much on Nickelodeon when you
Yeah,
come to that subject.
but you got to really think about it. The face hugger. Y'all both remember the face huggers, or
Yeah,
not? The face stealer. Yeah,
yeah. Cold face too. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
he scared the shit out of me, and it only amplified after a live action did. But no, I like the spirit part of it because But let's be honest, y'all both watch Legend of Korra, right?
Yeah.
So y'all both know how Korra fucked that shit up. I'm not gonna lie. Like at the very end, she let the spirits come into the physical realm.
I could agree to that, yeah.
I'm about to say that. How do you not see anything bad in that? If I was Avatar Aang, I'd be like, this is who we got as the next Avatar. I'll be pissed. You're just having spirits coming into our world, and you don't see anything like really that could be bad come from that.
True, but again, that's kind of we can talk about the Legend of Korra. That's probably its own separate episode of your own podcast. But in the Legend of Korra, like I feel like because how the production was and the issues they had with Nickelodeon, and is it on air or is
Yeah.
it like a web cartoon? That
So
caused the
true.
creators to kind of just jump around and just kind of figure stuff out. Because
Yeah.
season one feels completely disconnected from season 2, 3, and 4. And season 3 and 4 are probably the best. Season 3 is the best of the Legend of Korra, and season 4 kind of like it falls
And
off a bit because they know it was the last season.
yeah.
So they had a lot of issues that now they got to like addressed and fixed continuity wise. Do I think Korra should have open the gates and things like that? I'm not sure, but I do think for a storytelling element, that should have been the last thing she did before they ended, book 4 or something. Not, at the end of book 3 or whatever when it happened. Her losing her connection to her past lives. Why was that a season 1 thing? That should have been a season 4 thing or something.
Yeah.
The whole battle of Ulavatu and giant kaijus and stuff. Like, come on.
Yeah. I get that. But I like but just a little bit back, like Zuko, like you do believe that they should adapt the Search comic book, right? Graphic novel.
Yeah, I do agree they should adapt that.
Yeah, because that was a pivotal moment, and everyone thought before I read the book, and I didn't even know the book till like maybe last year. I thought all this time, where was Zuko's mother? That's the biggest mystery in Avatar, in my opinion. One of the biggest top 3 mysteries.
Yeah, but again, like because we have the graphic novel, is that really the story we want? I mean, I know the fans want that, but like there are other stories you can tell in Zuko's life. Like I'm more interested in what was going on in his life when he advocated the throne and gave it to his daughter.
Oh shit! Yeah.
Like no one ever really talks about that because that would take place between the end of Aang's life and beginning of Korra's life. So I want to know what was going on in the world during that time. What made him want to advocate the throne, and what Uncle Iroh decisions were involved in that. I'm sure that was a heavy Uncle Iroh kind of inspired moment. So I really want to see what they do. What that was like. I'm interested in knowing more about the transition of Aang's era to Korra's era, and just the technological advancements between the end of the Avatar: The Last Airbender and the beginning of Legend of Korra, because it really seems like technology advanced way too quickly in that universe.
Yeah. It's I just want to see, like, not the whole movie, but for a split second, I want to see him go back to that blue spirit. Like he put on a mask and sword play,
Yeah.
Just for a little cameo scene, like not for the whole movie, but just for a split second, because that was a pivotal moment for, if you're really thinking about the blue spirit, was for Zuko. Like that kind of like he put it on, that kind of showed that he can be good and change.
Right.
So I don't know. And in the concept art, one of the books where they were going to do for the Avatar Last Airbender anime series, they're going to make it red instead of blue at first.
No. Oh yeah, I remember seeing that because I get it. I know where it comes from, but no, that was they didn't need to change that. They didn't need to change that.
No, I didn't say they needed to. I'm saying they were thinking about it.
Yeah, they
did good though.
Yeah, they did good, but they didn't need to do it.
Yeah, but I like the. Let's see what else. And then, like you talked about technological advances in Avatar Airbender from Legend of Korra to Aang in Avatar.
Right.
So apparently the newest series of the Avatar is going to be about an Earthbender, but apparently it's 100 years after Legend of Korra. So I wonder how more advanced it's going to be.
It's basically going to take place in the modern era, so we're going to see the
Yeah.
Avatar with iPads and tablets and stuff, which I think is a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know. Personally, again, like you said, I feel like it just advanced too quickly from Aang's era into Korra's era with the technology. They should have slowed that down a lot more, I think.
Yeah.
Because now it's like, okay, like if we're in this era, then like are firebenders going to be like doing nuclear fusion and shooting lasers out their eyes now? And then are you going to address the giant kaiju bullshit from 100 years ago? Are we going to finally have the introduction of Momo 3? These are very good questions to ask.
No, but you said shooting lasers out their eyes. They kind of did that in Avatar Last Airbender with
The combustion
Boo Boo
bending.
Man.
Yeah, but even like combustion bending is still a subset of fire bending in its own right. And I feel like, with the advancement of technology and things like that, if they're like using bending to like launch rockets into space or something, they would have to advance fire bending so much to where they would be able to shoot lasers out of their eyes or just other properties of like fire bending that I theorize, like being able to manipulate just plasma itself and other weird things. I'm a nerd. I think about stuff like this a lot.
That sounds
Yeah.
amazing.
You're like, that sounds amazing. But no. My for the new series, I want them to kind of not focus, but show a little bit more of forbidden bending and sub elements,
Agreed. I do want to see more about the sub elements, especially now that we have the sub elements of air with flight and actual projection. Now firebending has to catch up because the only sub bending they have is lightning, which they ruined in the Legend of Korra, in my opinion, and combustion bending.
Yeah. So I want to do more forbidden bending. Like for instance, I looked this up. Water benders, they have blood bending. Air benders, they have the air manipulation to suck it out of your lungs. So I want to see bone bending for Earth.
I wouldn't think.
Wow. I
Okay,
think it would be similar to like the steel bending or whatever. Not the steel bending, the metal build bending, because they sought out all the smaller little
Minerals
elements
and
from
everything
it.
from Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why couldn't they do that with a bone?
Yeah. So, and they can also make it, if you really think about it, look like Kiki Maru from Naruto a little bit. Like make armor, maybe make some spears, like stuff like that.
I don't think they're gonna go the bone bending route because that's like the fandom, like that's what they theorize. Like the only thing an Earthbender could do to complement with blood bending is have their own version of blood bending.
Yeah.
It makes sense for water benders because the water is mostly water. The trace elements of Earth that's in the human body is like less than 15 to 20%. It's too small for like even a metal bender to pick up on the carbon and calcium and magnesium in your body to bend your body in that sense.
Yeah.
So I don't think they're going to go the bone bending route, but there's another route that's like right there that no one's talking about, and that's like fucking gravity manipulation and magnetism for earth bending. No one's talking
Ooh,
about
yes,
those two things.
magnetism.
Like, because metal benders will be able to, okay, if I can bend the refined earth in this metal, I should be able to activate is manipulate magnetic fields that are generated from pieces of metal like iron. Iron is the most abundant metal on the earth. It would be probably the most easiest element for any earth bender to bend. And it has a high magnetism rate or magnetic properties and things like that. So a skilled metal bender will be able to magnet bend, but on the other hand, a skilled lava bender will eventually be able to control gravity because they are manipulating the rawness of the earth in itself. That's just a theory I have. Just a theory. Don't shoot me.
Just a theory. Everyone stay calm. but no. I want them to do more new sub elements too. But yeah, like Do you think sound bending be good for air?
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah. I thought sound bending. I got another one with since only the avatar can use air energy bending for right now. I think they should do shadow bending.
Like bending the actual shadows. I don't think
Mm,
Like
that's
darkness and
more like
shadow.
Naruto kind of element world bending
yeah.
than Avatar.
I mean, yeah, I gotta get you. But no, sound bending does sound good though.
Yeah, I agree. Sound bending will be good for airbenders, and to be honest, I think sound bending will be their ultimate bending style versus the
For sure.
vacuum void thing, because again, most air nomads are peaceful people. They believe that all life is sacred. That shit Zahir did was like a once in a lifetime, you have to be an eagle airbender type of technique to use.
But you
So
gotta
I
admit
feel
though,
like, the to counteract that, the creators would make sound bending the ultimate level of airbender technique outside of the flight thing. I don't think you're gonna see a bunch of more airbenders sucking the air out of people's lungs. That
yeah,
was horrific as shit.
yeah, it really was. But you gotta think about it. Water benders, they're one of the most scariest shit benders in Avatar. Can you remember that girl with the 8 or 6 arms?
Yeah, goddamn Jaime or whatever, not
Yeah.
Jaime, Minghua, that's her name,
She
Minghua.
got she was so dangerous. They had to cut her arms off. But she said, "You think I need arms to bend?" And she just made water tentacles. And it's like, but no,
Why
uh,
wasn't she a bloodbender? Like it would have made sense out of anybody in the Avatar universe to be a bloodbender. It was her.
yeah.
Yeah.
But you gotta think about it. It was scary shit though, seeing her just be giant with them tentacles just coming at you. It's like, no, like if I was Aang had a lot of horrific. Like he was like basically the judge and god of that series. Just imagine what all he had to go through and all that through his life.
True.
Like the judgment calls he had to make. Because I'll admit, he did good for Ozai taking his bending away, but like just imagine like going to the government and what all he had to go through and do to people, you know?
Yeah, I can see that. I feel like the governments in Aang's time were more feudal era, and between his era and then switching to Korra, they went more democracy and things like that, which make it
Yeah.
more difficult. Because when you go to Legend of Korra, Korra was more of a politician in her Avatar duties than anything else than Aang ever was.
Yeah.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah. It's
And Korra was a terrible politic. If I have to go there, she was terrible.
all I'm saying about a lot of thing about Legend Corps is they did the White Lotus dirty, in my opinion. The White Lotus, when we first see them in that first Avatar series, they were the most badass people. But it's like,
True.
but now they're like anyone. It seemed like being a White Lotus, in my opinion.
That's true. That's true. But I think they did it like that because of season 3 of Korra, where they had the split from the White Lotus and the Red Lotus and things like that. So I can kind of see that. And then I wasn't really too keen on the decision of letting of Aang forcing the White Lotus to be the security team for the next Avatar. I think that was a little weak writing right there too.
Uh, One of my favorite scenes, I'll be honest, also was it just popped in my mind randomly, was that when Aro was in jail, like that was the most badass manipulation he ever in deception he did to the Fire Nation. Everyone thought like he was just weak. Well, not weak, but he was being pathetic and he lost his mind and everything. But while everyone walked away, he started getting jacked and just started being the dragon of the West.
Right.
But no, it's like Uncle Aro, you wouldn't even think he'd be like the most pivotal, peaceful man could be a badass dude. Like it took down almost the Earth Kingdom. The only reason he didn't do it, which was the saddest shit, was that his son died.
Right.
Like when you first seen the series, you're like, oh, it's your tea loving uncle. You didn't think he would take down Earth Kingdom, and then all of a sudden you see him go into action when he really wants to.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, he's powerful. He's powerful. I just wish we got more of that in the Netflix show. We just got, like I said in the beginning of the podcast, just a character of what Uncle Iroh actually is. And again, that's not calling out the from Kim Convenience. That's not calling out his acting skill. He was very great in the show. It's just I wish we had more of that real Uncle Iroh moments. That's all.
Give an
Yeah.
example.
Okay. Like a lot of his line deliveries, like I said earlier, I know, the writers wrote the lines that he has to say, but it just how he delivered them just seemed like he's just telling you versus this is like some deep wisdom type of experience thing. Like when was the last time I watched it? I'm trying to remember the specific scene that made me think of it, but it's a Zuko Iroh moment. I think it's before they do the reveal of his son Wu Ten died. No, it was that. It was the Wu Ten episode, and as good as that was, and they pay homage to Leaves on the Vine. It was just like how he was conveying that story and that hurt of losing his son. Didn't quite translate well to me, and I understand it was kind of just letting the two actors just emote, and in that moment it didn't need to be said. I get that, but it just felt like this isn't quite Uncle Iroh to me. I don't know, maybe it's hard to explain. I'll explain it better on when I do my breakdown of the series. How about that?
But no,
Say what?
I liked it. I wish we would have got more like a little moment where Iroh, which Zuko, when Aang disappeared in the animated series, Zuko even went to the uncle and said, "Can you defeat him?" I probably could. They talk about defeating Ozai,
Right.
but he said it ain't the right thing to do because it's brother against brother. And it's like he said I probably could though, but he said I don't know. Like y'all really think that Iroh could have took down Ozai in the Fire Chosen's Comet deal?
No.
You don't think so?
No, because don't get me wrong, Iroh was very powerful in his own right, but Iroh was definitely past his prime towards the end of the Avatar: The Last Airbender.
I think that the White Lotus teamed up, they could have took him down. If in my opinion,
I mean, maybe, but they would have to team up to do that. And you remember, one of the people in the White Lotus was just a normal guy with a sword.
what's like yeah. He was Sokka's teacher, and he just dude with a sword.
Right, and don't get me wrong, he's a master in his own right, but I wouldn't have a master.
A firebender.
Right, yeah, I wouldn't have I wouldn't have the swordsman go up against Ozai during the comet. Sit this one out. Let the real benders kind of handle this. And to be honest, it would have had to been a combination of Master Paku, King Bumi, and Iroh to really take out Ozai. Because, like, don't get me wrong, the White Lotus was doing some amazing shit. Like Zhong Zhong flew up in the air with fire bending and just like, here's a wall of fire and you get a wall of fire. That was tight. But they weren't flying around in the air with jets behind them and like throwing lightning as they're flying Mach 2.
Yeah.
True.
Man, I love how Aang, not Aang, but Kyoshi, she was the real OG Avatar. Like, she did not care to kill if you read the comics. I'm pretty sure you read one of them where she had Earth spikes coming out.
Oh, yeah. I read all the Kyoshi shit. She's my favorite Avatar.
She did not give a shit. She's like, you even think you're going to threaten something. She'll know about it, and then she's going to be Earth spikes.
Right.
That's the pivotal moment in my mind where I'm like, Kyoshi did not give a shit to kill you.
No. My favorite Kyoshi moment from the novels was when she froze the lungs of the she learned how to freeze lungs and just shattered the dude's lungs. I was like, yeah, this is why you're my favorite.
She said, oh shit, no, that's more combat shit right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, yeah. No, Kyoshi though, he was hardcore, man, and that's why the Kyoshi warriors are so badass. Because look at who they're inspired by.
Oh, you reminded me of a scene from the Netflix show that kind of weirded me out. So remember when we was talking about Sokka's sexism and things like that. He wasn't sexist in this.
Yeah,
Suki came off as a creep to me. Like that scene where she's watching Sokka train and she just like walk up and look at him in a crack. And I was like, stranger danger, you need an adult, Sokka.
Oh no.
I seen that shit. I literally seen that one day. I was like watching, and she's just like talking, just kind of changing, like in its shirt and everything. You looked over, you see Suki's eye in the creek, and it's like, what? It's like,
yeah,
like, and she just ran. She, oops, I got spotted. Time to tip. She just ran.
Yeah, that was kind of weird. I was like, oh, Sokka can't be as sexist, but Suki can be a peeping Tom. All right, all right. Netflix, I see you.
Oh no.
You're a peeping Tom.
Oh no.
Women can do anything. They can be creepy and peeping toms. Like, no, that's not what I was expecting. Netflix, what the hell?
The fact that she looked, her eye got big when Sokka looked at her, making eye contact. She, oops, gotta go.
Right.
It was like I got spotted.
Right. But also with that scene, that's also where one of my favorite scenes from the whole series come from, where Sokka and Suki are like training and they're like kind of dancing, and they have that whole moment where they show you them learning each other and not tell you. And I feel like the biggest problem with the Netflix version of the show is they did a lot of telling us what's going on and not showing us what's going on.
Yeah, it's. I mean, there was, like you said, there were good moments and there were bad moments in Avatar, Netflix.
Yes.
But I mean, overall, what did you think of it?
I do love it. Like, don't get me wrong. I know I said a lot of bad stuff about it, but like, I realized that I'm the type of person. The more critical I am of something, the more I actually like it because you really got to nitpick and like be argumentative over the things about the Netflix version that you don't like. Yeah, it's not going to be exactly like the cartoon. I went in expecting that. I wanted to see what they did different. A lot of the changes I do like even though I feel like they could have waited to introduce Azuli, I get what they were doing by bringing her in season one and having her have that story of the game that Ozai is playing between his children. I do get that. It could have been better executed. I don't think May and Ty Lee should have been there, especially if they weren't going to do anything. And you saw the rise of her blue flames, so obviously they're probably going to explain why her flames are blue in book two. What else? What else? Everything they did in the last two episodes with the Siege of the North, a lot of that was really good. The black and white spectacle scene, and then the only thing being lit up was just like water bending and fire bending. That was beautifully shot. For the most part, they tried to do their best to mimic it as close to the cartoon as they did. But I will say it got me interested. I definitely want to see where they continue doing with this world building and how they, further make changes. We already know book two and book three got greenlit already, so hopefully they listen to the fans and they just keep doing what's working for them. Definitely hope the acting gets a little bit better and they stop that. Let me stop and look at the camera and pontificate things. I want them to
Oh
do more
no.
showing than telling.
And Mix, what did you think about the Netflix series?
I very much so enjoyed it. It was so beautiful, and I just loved it. I was thoroughly entertained. I binge watched it.
It it reminded
Yeah.
me almost like like they were trying to go Game of Thrones route, if you know what I'm saying. Like the way the settings were, like it had the feel of Game of Thrones, but it's
No, I
Avatar.
get that. I get that.
So like straight up, I didn't even address this. Fireman straight up burnt people in the Netflix show. Like they straight
Yeah,
up, they straight up like they didn't just blast them back like in the series, which was kid friendly in a way. They straight up just said, if Ozai looked at you, he's like, okay, you're done now. He just blinked, they just lit in flames.
yeah. And that kind of goes back to like what I was saying about the bending, how like it looked like they was punching through like the elements and things like that.
Yeah.
Um, this is what I didn't say. None of how they did that looked like any amount of bending, whether it's earth, air, water, or fire, would hurt someone else unless they just go for the death strike, like the spontaneous combustion, like we got in the first 5 minutes, or an earthbender would just have to go and just drop mountains on people or something like that. I don't think a waterbender in this world has a shot to survive until they introduce blood bending. But that's just because it looks so weird in live action with the CGI.
The
So
bloodbending gonna
oh,
look like straight up Insidious and horror movies.
yeah, bloodbending will have to look like some weird kind of shit. It's gonna have to look
For
weird. It's gonna
sure.
have to should be shot so cinematically just to convey its power. But they need to work on the bending graphics, if that makes sense. They need to add a couple of polygons, figure out a better way. This whole force shit with airbending, I'm not buying.
So is that the biggest thing you want them to change about the Netflix?
Yeah, it's got to be the graphics of the bending. Even the CGI of like Momo and Appa could be a lot better.
It could, but we all agreed that it's better than M. Shyamalan's movie.
Oh,
For sure.
yeah. Like, why the? I don't know if I can cuss on your channel. Why the fuck did it take 7 Earthbenders to like and then that one rock just slowly fly by? Why the? I'm sorry. That's just a rant. That like I have nightmares about that. Like just Earthbenders, and then like a little small rock just fly by slowly. I'm like, it took 7 of y'all to do that.
That was hilarious.
Oh man, it's like you have nightmares about it. You're like, I'm good.
Okay.
You're like, I'm good. What the fuck?
Right, exactly. Like, no wonder why y'all like in prison. Y'all fucking stupid. Like, what the hell? Okay, I'm done. That's my rant on that. We will never talk about that movie ever again.
Yeah, like I mean, I hope in another thing before we move on, I hope that they'd add more fighting styles and positions in the new animated series. Like we explore a little bit of that, you know?
You mean from The Legend of Korra?
Like we already got like different fighting ways, like because some like they're very fluid and they have different fighting like styles. That's what I'm trying to say.
Right.
So I want to see more styles, more sub bendings, and more exploration on what happened from the Legend of Korra to now, and how the new Avatar has to just basically be put in to fix it.
Okay, I got you. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to see more development of the sub bendings, especially for fire bending, because like now fire bending, like it really looks like the weakest element. Well, when you think about it,
It's the saddest shit, man. It was the pivotal of it in the first series, and now you look at it, it's like flame.
Yeah, like like any water bender. I mean, any fire bender at this point just like look weak. Like so, let me ask you this.
Okay.
And it's a fire bending question. How do you go from lightning, being able to throw lightning, and it's like this royal family secret forbidden technique that only 3 people knew how to do: Azula, Iroh, and Ozai. And every time Zuko did it, he just basically made explosions out in thin air and fucked himself up. But he eventually learned how to redirect lightning, but he never learned how to throw lightning.
Yeah.
And then you get to The Legend of Korra, and it's so commonplace to where they just have power plants of firebenders, regular fucking firebenders, just electricity. And I'm just like, no, you just diminished and ruined the whole concept of throwing lightning in the Avatar universe.
Yeah, I get that. It's like they're literally doing this in power plants, like factories, and it's like, bro, you're literally paying them just to use lightning bending.
And it doesn't even like seem like lightning bending. It's like they're just generating a charge. Like there's lightning bending that's big and powerful and destructive, and you are just the conduit of which it goes through. And then that stupid electricity shit where it just looks like some tasers and shit.
I feel like this is random, but I feel like out of it, they're gonna be exhausted by the time they're done because they gotta put in a certain charge.
Right, like I gotta sit there and like understand voltage and like, okay, too much voltage. Now we're all gonna die. They gotta have to explain that.
Their law thing, Corey, kind of went AWire from the first Avatar series, but no, I feel like they might have honestly learned from their mistakes, hopefully, and they're gonna get in a new one. But last thing we'll talk about is they call it the gang movie for Team Avatar's movie when they're adults. Apparently the voice cast ain't going to be in it from the old Avatar series. That's what the Toph voice actor said.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about that?
I'm with it. Like, you know, don't get me wrong. I know Avatar Studios is going to find a way to bring back the original cast in some shape, way, form, or fashion and have them voice characters. Yeah. But and I've interviewed a lot of these the Avatar cast members at MomoCon and things like that, and the consensus is is for the new series that's coming up, even the ones that's based off them being adults. They
Yeah.
want other voice actors to come in and voice those characters and have a new take or approach on how we hear those characters and how they sound. Because different voice actors bring different personalities and just techniques and things with their voice. Like voice acting is like really difficult if you think about it, because you got to take regular acting. You can find that with just now you're just a voice, you're not even on screen, you're just a voice. So how are you going to convey these feelings, emotions, and hidden messages and meanings with just your voice? Mark Hamill does a great job of it. Phil Lamar, Chris Summer, all these people. Jenna, I can't remember her last name, but the Azula voice actor. No, Jenna is Korra's voice actor. Um, I do love that they all have that feeling, because I'm like, yes, give this opportunity to the next generation of voice actors. Let new people come in, give fresh blood to these characters. I understand that. And then more importantly, a lot of the people who were talking about voice these characters as adults, but were voicing the voices of children. So their voices, when they do it again with them being adults, isn't going to make sense because they're going to have the same voice. Children grow up and their voices get deeper. We all know that. So you're going to need to bring on a fresh talent crew to voice the adults. That's what I feel about it.
Yeah. Well, Mix, how do you feel about it?
I'm very excited for it. I can't wait to see what happened between Avatar and Legend of Korra. Like,
Yeah.
it would be nice to have some things,
Cleared up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot of explaining they got to do.
You got a lot of explaining to do, buddy.
Facts.
But no, all I know is they also got a Kyoshi movie coming out, which I didn't know how badass Kyoshi was until I looked into her more. But and like I didn't even know
read her novels. Read the Kyoshi novels. Oh my God! Please read the Kyoshi novels.
Okay, I didn't know
She is
anything
so
about her
amazing.
freezing lungs and Mortal Kombat shit until you said that, and it like made me more interested in her movie coming out.
Yeah. So like, not only can she freeze your lungs, she can glass step. She can glass bend. She basically created glass bending, which is dope as fuck. That air step technique she learned from her mother to like now she uses like shards of glass and steps on the glass, and it's like so tight.
Oh God.
Kyoshi is a force to be reckoned with. She's all about justice, and she will fucking kill you.
And unlike the Avatar Roshi, he's like is there even a novel about him?
You mean Avatar Roku?
Yeah, Avatar Roku.
I was about to say, like, what the fuck? When did Master Roshi become an Avatar? No, as far as I know, all we get of Roku is what we get in the ATLA series, and then they do kind of talk about other avatars in the graphic novels and the novels and stuff, but like he's after Kyoshi, so you don't really talk about him that much. And then consensus is Roshi's the worst avatar or the most least effective avatar from the fandom, so it depends on how you. I don't think people want to know more about Roku.
Yeah, we got one about the water. One of the water bender avatar, didn't we?
Karuk. We find out a lot about Karuk in the Kyoshi novels, actually.
Yeah, I'm about to say I know we got one of him, of Kyoshi. Then I want to know about the one after Kyoshi, and I'm like, I don't hear shit about him, so I didn't know he was like one of the worst avatars.
Yeah, nobody likes Roku because they're just like, you could have been stopped the fucking war. You just sat back and let it happen because he Sojin was your friend.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that is right. They were homies, and he's like, "No, don't do that."
Yeah, that's all he did. Like, don't do that, and Earth Spike Pillar, and left him there, and that was it. Oh, and then he died from the volcano, and I'm like, yeah, that is a bitch move to die from a volcano, and you're the Avatar. Like, how does that happen?
Kyoshi could have easily just made that mountain or volcano involve him, like swallow him up.
Right, and like even in the same, like in book 1, Aang defeats a volcano with just airbending.
Like, who does that?
So yeah, Roku dying.
Yeah,
Roku dying fighting 2 volcanoes. That's a bitch move for an Avatar. That's a bitch move. You shouldn't have died.
Kyoshi would have just ate that lava.
Right, exactly. And don't give me that old age shit, because like you said, Kyoshi was like 230 some years old, and she was in her prime. Period. she was just once she was in her prime, that was it. She never got out of it.
She never like de-leveled back down. She's like always at prom, always.
Okay. I got a question for you. Since we're talking about that Roku volcano scene, so there's always a scene. There's this scene in that shot where Shozen shows up to help out Roku battle the volcanoes, and Shozen does this thing where he airbends the smoke away from the volcano to get it to mellow out and turns into solid earth. Is that some weird firebending technique, or did he just straight up airbend and they just like, well, firebenders can bend smoke, so fuck it because it's hot air? What do you think about that?
I think I didn't even really think about it till you said something, man. It's like I really can't tell you. I mean, it take a lot of thought about it.
Go back and watch the scene. He steals the heat away from the lava and shoots it out into the air, and it looks like just smoke going through his body, and he's airbending out smoke.
I would have thought it was steam bending for a minute, but
I assumed that his temperature was just naturally so high at those parts of his body that's why there was steam.
So
steam was flowing through him. But...
Right. So you subscribe to the he's just stealing the heat away from the lava theory of what happened, right?
Yeah, it sounds plausible.
Okay. I think that's BS because I just think one, I feel like a firebender should also be able to somewhat lava bend like how a lava bender can. Because I feel like lava bending came from the marriage of a fire and earth bender anyway. But I don't know. Again, I hate to do a shameless plug, but on my podcast, Blerdcast, I do have an episode or a couple episodes where we talk about the science of bending. And we talk about certain things like this, certain mistakes within the series that we're just trying to theorize, what does this mean? Like that particular scene with Sojin and Roku. So again, shameless plug, check out Blerdcast. It's actually episode 1 of season 1, so go check it out.
But I think we talked about everything we want to. I just want to thank you, Mark, for being on here and telling us all about your journey of Blerdcast and your Black documentary.
Thank you. This was fun. I'm finally glad we were able to get the schedules coordinated and make this happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But no, I'm really glad that we talked about this. It needed to be addressed. Some of the Avatar stuff, the Netflix, and overall, we are looking forward to season 2 and 3. See if they improve what they do and what they hold in future for it.
Right.
And also animated shows and movies. Also, everyone read Kiyoshi's novel if you haven't already.
And the Yang Chen novels. Yang Chen has novels too.
Yang Chen too. Okay. But I will talk to you all later, okay?
All right, cool.
All right.
Have a great night.
You too.
Peace.